Hi everyone, it's Michelle. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I am delighted to have you join my little corner of the internet. I am taking this new stamp set of Marlene's for a spin. It is called, I'm not sure. It's got a bunch of sun faces. So there's a happy one, a neutral one, and a sad one. And today I'm using the neutral one. I adore this face. It's really pretty. It's got such a, I don't know, I just really love everything about it, really. The shape of the eyes and the mouth and everything. It's such a feminine little looking face. Very cute. So what you see me doing just then, before I start stamping with a new stamp set, I normally prime my stamps first. So I would do ink on it and then just stamp it off onto a scrap piece of paper to just make sure that when I then do stamp on the real deal, that it's going to be a good stamp. So I've stamped out a whole bunch of them. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with this page. I was not sure if it was going to work, but I thought I would give it a go first. So I've taken some sand paint from Marlene. It's a kind of a skin tony, peachy kind of color. I have punk out on my mat, which is Marlene's neon purple paint. And I also have just a touch of clotted cream, which is a lighter, it's not white, it's more like an ivory kind of color. It's great for doing highlights on faces. So I'm just going in and coloring in my faces using the sand as a base. I'm using the punk as the shadows and then a touch of that clotted cream to add some highlights. And I'm kind of doing the same thing on all of them, but I'm not too particular if they're not. I obviously know that they're not going to be the same. They're not going to look identical, and that is absolutely fine because everybody's different. Okay, so I'm just finishing up there. That one on the side there had a little hole in its head, so I didn't want to use that one. I did manage to squeeze in one extra one. I knew I wanted 5 faces on my page because I like working with odd numbers. And once I've done my shading, I'm just going to add a little bit of pink on their cheeks because who doesn't love a cute pink cheek? And then I'm going to add color to their eyes and their lips just using my paint pens. I figured that that would be the easiest way to get them colored. And I'm doing all different colored eyes. So I've got turquoise and blue. I have purple eyes, green, and I did go with brown eye as well, which is highly unusual because I never really give my girls real colored eyes or even hair. They always have funky eyes and funky hair. And I'm just coloring those little lips. And then I'm going to go in and just redefine where I might have gone over the lines with my paint. And I'm just drawing those back in. Okay, I'm setting those aside to dry. And I'm going to start building my page. So I've gone in with Ballet. This is Hot Curry. It's Marlene's Orange. There was a touch of punk left on my mat, so I just smeared that in as well. I'm going in with Cheesy. So Marlene has 2 yellows in her range. One is Cheesy and one is Happy. The Cheesy feels a little bit more opaque to me, maybe not orangey. It's just yeah, I can't explain it. The Happy is very bright, whereas the Cheesy is a little bit more of a toned down yellow. It's still beautiful. I love using it. And look at me being brave and using orange on my page. We all know that I don't do so well with orange, but there we go. I've got orange on my page. Okay, looking for a stencil, and I've got this new hexagon one from Marlene. It's really pretty. It makes a lovely, lovely pattern. And I'm just drying off one of my baby wipes. My baby wipes are quite juicy, so I do like to squeeze them in between a rag just before I go into my pages. If they are too wet, the paint and the liquid from the wet wipe will run underneath the stencil. You won't get that clear, crisp, reductive stenciling. So I'm going in with Mermaid, some contrasting colors over the top. I chose to use Mermaid. I did choose to use Kermit, which is this green color. And I think I may have used Breeze as well. And again, you'll see I'm doing that reductive stenciling in 3 places. So when I put my paints down, I did them in 3 spots. Now the stenciling in 3 spots. And my mark making will be the same. I always try to work either in 3s and 5s because that is just more pleasing to the eye than an even number. So if I had to do 2 or 4, it wouldn't quite look right. Something would look a little off. Sometimes I break that rule, and it's not an art rule. It's just a guideline that I have in my own head. But sometimes I do break that little guideline in my head, just because there might be an extra spot to fill. Now I'm trying to brighten up the yellow patches a bit. So I'm going in with some neon stenciling with the yellow, and I'm just doing normal stenciling like you would normally do with a sponge through the stencil. And then I'm going to go in with some mark making. So again, I'm using the same colors that I've got on my page already, and I'm just plonking my paintbrush into that paint, and then I'm smooshing it down onto my page. I'm overlapping those marks. You will see me use this technique a lot on my pages, probably on most of my pages. This happens. I really, really like the effect of having these clusters of sparkles. They remind me of something sparkly in the background. You know, when you take a photo, or when you look at a photo and it's got that really blurry background, especially when there's like fairy lights or something in the background, you get that almost blurred look, or not almost, but it is a blurred look. It's called bokeh, B-O-K-E-H, and it is a photography term. And this effect, when I do these layered little dots over each other, really makes me think of that. So yeah, I use it a lot. I like it a lot. And it makes me happy, so I keep doing it. I'm sorry if it bores you to death to look at me doing the same thing over and over. What this also does, and I'm not particular about keeping my journals looking like one big project. That's certainly not what I try to do ever, unless it's like a tiny journal and I'm doing one specific project. But this does add a little bit of continuity into my journal. So if you see, when you pick up my journal, you'll know that it's my journal because it's got the same stuff, or 1 or 2 of the same elements on each page. I'm going in with a little bit of mark making, just using this Grungy Textures stamp set. And I first did it with orange ink, and now I'm going in with black ink. And that little strip of square, circly things are my absolute favorite. I really, really like the effect that it gets. It also reminds me of like little twinkly lights coming down. Yeah, that's just when I put them down and I look at it, that's kind of what it reminds me of. Okay, to brighten the page, I'm going in with Punk, which is the purple from Marlene's neon range. And I'm just doing a little bit more reductive stenciling here and there, and that just really brightens up the page and kind of ties the colors together. Now I'm going to fussy cut all these little faces, and I'm going to start placing them on my page and seeing kind of where I'd like to have them sitting. So normally I don't do floating heads on my pages. My figures are usually grounded. I always want them to be grounded, or they'll like have a dress with the neck and everything, definitely connected to the page. So for this page, I decided that they are going to be floating, but the way that they are going to be fastened onto the page will ground them. So I'm just finishing up these faces, just adding a couple of final touches to them. And then I did pause my video for a second there because my paint pen went dry, so I had to find another one. And then eventually I did pause my video again just because I had to look for the split pins that's going to ground these onto the page. But first, a little bit more faffing on these eyes. So I do like to define the eyes properly with a black pen. It just makes them stand out a bit. And I like to add those eyelashes again, just because they do get covered up with the paint. So I like to brighten them up again. Okay. So that's kind of the placement that I'm going with. And then I saw this little sun face, and it had like little rays coming out from it, and I thought that would be cute to go behind all of my faces. So I cut that extra little face that I had there, I fussy cut that, and then I'm going to mask off my stamp using that face like so. Oh gosh, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we got there in the end, and I'm just burnishing it down. The first one was all wonky and skew, but then from the second one, it was okay. So now you can see those little rays and dots coming out from behind my little face. I'm sorry, I apologize for my head in the way, but now you also have evidence that I do have a head and I'm not just hands. So that top one was a little bit of a stamp. So I did go in on that one and extend those rays and darken up the dots, but I didn't do it on all of them. And then each of them, I'm just lightening the center because I thought I would do little quotes in the middle of them. So when you lift the face away, you'll see a little quote, which came with problems of its own, but it's okay. You know, it's all right. I can live with the result. Okay, now I'm going to go into my quotes. First, I took out the stamp, but the quotes were just too long, so they wouldn't have fit in that tiny space there. So I just grabbed one word, and then I fill in the gaps with that word. So that one says, the word that I found was whimsy, and then I say, always seek whimsy. Find the magic. I can't remember all of them. Be free to create. Trust the process. And the last one was actually one that I cut some of the words apart from that sticker strip. be true to your weird. I thought this page was a little bit whimsical and magical and weird, so I thought that those were great. All right, now I'm looking for my little split pins, and I only had 3 of the teeny tiny ones, but I did have enough of the bigger ones that had like a diamond in the center, and they looked really nice on the page. So I use them. First I'm going to poke through the head and through the page with my poking tool, and then put that little, I think they call it maybe a brad also. I call it a split pin. That's what we call it here in South Africa. That's what I call it here in South Africa. And yeah, I'm just going to finish all of them and flatten them at the back. So I had 2 problems with doing it this way. First was this added a lot of bulk to my page. So if I'd used the tiny brads, it wouldn't have been such a huge issue. But I did do a page at the back of that, and I covered all of that. So it's fine in the end. You can't see them. Also, I found because I had to try and flatten them so much, it was quite tight. So it was quite difficult to move the little faces, but you know, it's fine. Then the other thing that really was not great is when I lifted them, you couldn't see the words behind them because of where the split pin was, so that like the top word would not be there. So I had to fiddle around a bit and try and fix that so you can see. I'll show you now, I'm sure. That one, the B was right at the top, so I had to bring the B down. This one was fine. The Seek Whimsy or whatever it was fine. At the bottom here, sorry you can't see it. Yeah, there was also something underneath the head, and same with this one. So I lifted the sticker and I just had to try and put it somewhere else. So next time I would probably try and plan that a little better. Overall, I really like the way it turned out. It did come together the way that I kind of had in my head, obviously not perfectly the way I had in my head. Not that I had a clear picture in my head, but I was very happy with the way they turned out. So I'm just doing some masking tape over those brads because I wasn't sure if I was going to stick 2 pages together or if I was going to just work over the top of that. But I did work over the top. And that is it for this page. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you have not done so, and leave me a comment. I really love reading your comments and hearing from you and knowing that I'm actually doing this for real people. Okay, bye.